It's really good having you here. And you need to confirm me how you want me to call you, Kornelia or Nelly or Nella. How do
It's
people?
up to you. My name Cornelia is such a long because my surname is Cornelia Rozwadowska. So my friends in high school, they just called me Nella, and
Okay.
it just stay like this. But I
Okay.
think that I'm mature now, and I should introduce myself as a Cornelia. So
So which one
it,
do you prefer?
let's stay with Cornelia.
Okay, so we matured you into the conversation to be Cornelia. And it's really good having you. I'm very excited to learn more about your journey and how you came up with the idea, of making flower pots. And I love them, how they look. I'm not really a plant person, so I'm still cherishing and saving the one I received from you, and we will put it in our showroom with the plants. But I didn't want to risk it to do it at home to make sure that it's protected, you know. So tell me a little bit about, how did you get to know hemp in the first place, and how did you get involved in this journey of making flower pots?
Yes. So I I have known hemp since I was teenager from the bad side of this subject, to be honest. And then I started to read more about the plant because first of all, I was curious why the plant can be forbidden. And of course, this regular legal issues they are not part of my life, but this led me to do the research on the plant itself. So then I read that the plant was used like 2000 years ago as a very strong material for ropes, from marine sector, and I was curious why we don't cultivate it right now. Why I don't see it if it is not the same plant as it's forbidden, right? Because there are two separate plants. And yeah, so the one we use, it's totally free from the psychedelic part, and it's very, very strong material. So it could replace also lots of plastic now, because like textiles, we breathe in plastic, which is so bad for us because these little particles from our clothes. We don't see them, but if we put the light on this beam of light, we see how many of them are in the air. So I really was, oh, and then I went to the phytotherapy course uh, as I wanted to be a herbalist. And I was among people who were freaked just like me with the plants that can save our lives. And literally, I was in the time when I was like, hemp will save us, will save the life of on this planet. And it actually can, because the roots of the plant, they can clean the soil from the toxins, from the metals that they are full of them everywhere. So every part of this plant can be used to save our lives. And this is why I said to myself that this is something that I really want to work for, because this for now it's not something that's profitable. I see all around the world that people are working hard with a joy to build something, to build the hemp sector again from the scratch. And I want to be part of this because it's logical.
Right. Same for me. I think it really inspires that many people create so many things out of it. And also, like, what an amazing solution we have, yet we are so underusing it, and just claiming it to be a drug, is not a good enough reason, especially in an era where you can read up on it and you can see the difference between cannabis and industrial hemp. It's not a valid reason anymore. So I fully agree with you. So do you have this background of like botanist or being interested in biology, sciences? Is it where this interest in enrolling in the phytotherapy came from?
My background is in philosophy,
Okay.
and then I became a mom, and I wanted to use natural cosmetics and natural clothes for my baby. And I read a lot. So I just found this course, which is one of the first in Poland. It's actually, again, just growing, something that is so old. And I enrolled them there. I met a lot of people, and I just fell in love with this lifestyle because it's a lifestyle, I think.
Yes.
To trust that we can use herbs and they help us. We don't need the pills
Right.
and hammocks.
True. And when you enrolled in the course, I assume that
Yes.
herbalist, you were studying about many different plants. But how does a herbalist start making flower pots?
So when I went to this course, I also changed my hood, like my hood. I met people. I talk about lots of like. I really I really start to think about the biotechnology, not only about the cosmetics and medicines, but also of the use of the hemp. Because this course for the herbalist, it wasn't just only for the medicine purpose. Is it teach how to use plants in everyday life in every sector. Also, um, it's just the beginning. Is this, and then I just started to really search about the holistic um, building, about how the materials that are in our houses influence our health. So at that time, when I started to do the pots, I was just a reader. I was in the cloud, uh, really dreaming of a beautiful house with natural materials, healthy, with no mold. And this is because this is a huge problem in Poland. We have
Yes.
this climate that is very wet, not really hot to in the, for example, in autumn or spring. And we have a huge problem. And when I found out that how this affects us, how bad affects our children where they are growing, developing their lungs, etc. So I just started to dig in more and read about natural building constructions. And at that time, I met people in my village who were working with the concrete, but they used linen as a fiber. So when they called me to bring hemp, I just stayed there and I worked with them for 2 years. And now we split and I started my own journey.
So I'm hearing that was it through construction that you came up with, like you were helping people with the construction and adding the fiber, the hemp fiber to it, and that's when you realized that you can actually make flower pots?
No, they were doing the flower pots
Oh,
when
they
I
were.
joined them,
Okay.
but they were using linen and they called me to bring hemp. So
Okay.
so I brought hemp and we started to do it together.
Yes.
But it didn't work well, to be honest. We didn't have marketing. We didn't
Yeah.
have money to really develop in a proper way.
Yeah.
I used all my sources to make it, but it wasn't possible because of the breakups within our
Yeah.
relations.
Yes. Sometimes it's not a good alignment, so it happens. And when you say linen, do you mean like the flax seeds?
Yeah,
Okay, that's what they were using for construction.
yeah.
And they're also making flower pots. And when you started bringing them hemp fiber, did they notice a difference?
I noticed the difference
Okay.
only because um, we just started to talk about the CO2 negative
Yeah.
construction. Because
Right.
linen is also a good material, but the crop is very low, and it still needs pesticides.
Yeah.
I mean, needs. Well, we don't really have our crops in a good condition to to make farmers don't use pesticides because
Right.
they would have to start from the beginning to do recovery to put back to the ground what they took away.
Yes.
So it's quite harder. And the hemp is something that doesn't require so much attention. It just grows.
Right.
So
True. It
this is the
does make
difference.
sense. But in terms of the plants growing in it, then that would also be a difference, right? Because if you are using chemicals to grow flax seeds and then use them in a flower pot, then equally that chemical, enters the soil and, and it has an effect on the plants.
I
Right?
don't know what is the chemical spectrum of the flax in the linen flax itself, but what I think that the difference is that the linen flax, it's very small and
Yeah.
it's like a um, needle. It's like a needle. It's and the hemp has a quite bigger surface.
Yeah.
So if we put it to the concrete, the bigger surface will make the part of the breathable part.
Yes.
So it's breathed better. It breathes better.
Right. Breathe is better, and that helps the plants as well. Right.
Yes.
That's the huge potential, one of the huge potentials in industrial hemp, I feel, especially when it comes to construction. But this idea of the flower pot is just so cute. So I will ask you more about this. When you separated from the company, um, how did you manage on your own? Because before you belonged to a community, and now all of a sudden you were there, as a mom. I don't know if you had your baby by that time, but it was it's different when you do it in a group or when you do it on your own. So how did you manage?
So when I got separated, it was autumn, and I really didn't have a space to make it. So until March, I was just reading, and I was thinking a lot every day what I should do with these materials that I bought, and shall I do it without these people? If it was some kind of like ethical
Yes.
uh, thinking, and then I was like, okay, I have these materials. I have a lot of hemp, so I have to use it anyway.
Right.
And I just started to use it. And the beautiful thing is that depends on what we want to gain, we can use less or more hemp.
Yeah.
And yes, so I know people from Hempire, sorry,
Yeah.
they do hemp houses, sorry, hemp houses, and they use a lot of material, like hemp material. And if you press it together, it's getting very, very strong. So you have the wall like this, the 40 centimeter wall, and it's like a stone. But
Yeah.
with the pots, it's quite different because the wall is very small. So it needs to have a little bit more stones, like sand or something to
Yeah.
cling it. Otherwise, it could break because it's just a sheath. It's not a
Yeah.
stone, right? So you can break
Yeah.
it. That's why I use lime and other minerals to make it happen. And also because of the water, because hemp is very absorbing.
Yeah.
It's absorbing a lot of water. So it's a protection for this. But still, if you put it just enough, you have very nice material that breathes and is anti-fungi, and you can utilize it. Just put it into the ground. I use a
Love.
lot of hemp in my garden.
Nice. And that you can grow it as well. It makes a very good clean air for you around the house.
Yes,
So that's
yes,
beautiful.
that is what I want to be focused, because I want in my project in Be Visionaries, I had to set up my goals, and my goal is to make better air quality in our houses, because we don't realize how bad the air quality is in our home.
True.
And this is so important because we cannot live without the breath.
Yeah, without breathing in proper air, and in Poland, the difference might be that because of the four seasons, you might have winter and autumn, so there is still some fresh air, whereas, for example, in the UAE, the air quality is just so bad because all the time you have, a summer season, so there is no breather. Like right now, it's 50 degrees outside, and indoor, if it's not the AC, then I wouldn't know what I breathe. So it's very, very different conditions in different countries. However, hemp can help in, all the varieties, right? So any kind of climate, it can still bring you that generate that oxygen and absorb that much carbon dioxide from the air, which we have like loads of. So when you started creating the first bit, you mentioned something before we started our conversation, that some parts of it can be dangerous. So, is it really a dangerous project? Was it dangerous for you to develop it?
No, it's not so dangerous. I mean, if I would put myself like on a daily dose of the lime powder, and I would do it every day, 8 hours, and I would breathe in this powder, it could be dangerous. It could kill,
Yeah.
because it would get into the lungs and just like plaster on it. So
Yeah.
so yeah, but if you use a mask and a glove and the eye protector and the gloves, so
Yeah.
it's not dangerous anymore. It's just about the particles. They are very small. It's a powder, so whatever it would be bad for us, because it would get into our like immune system and our skin and everywhere, and our
Right.
lungs.
True, in that sense. Okay.
Yes.
So what happened when you felt confident enough, you went through the ethical dilemma and you started creating your own first pots? What was it like? Like what did you do after?
So it was quite hard because, as I said, the molds are the most challenging things in this. So I had big problems with unforming, and then I said, okay, I will just do something different. Maybe I will create lamps, something that doesn't require to be put in and very, I had to cut the molds at the beginning to take it out.
Yeah.
So it was nice. I was still sad at that time that I had to work myself only, and that it happened to our community. But I was trying, I had a lot of try before I found the best recipe, the strong one, and without 100% of cement.
Right.
Because I continue to use less cement, and that's a challenge as well. I don't know why we should get rid of cement. I think that we should just change the way we burn it and still be wonderful material. It's just a lime that goes under process of 1,400 Celsius. It's degrees. Degrees. So it needs to be burned much.
Right. So where are you now? Like you created the formula, you started producing it. How would you describe yourself now? Where are you on this journey?
I am at the beginning with a strong tool. I mean, I have my tools and I'm ready to go to make it like scalable and make it workable.
Right. Okay. What is the biggest challenge for you, or what are the biggest challenges?
Molds, yeah, typically, because they're expensive, and it's, if I make it them with my hands, I ask a lot of people in my village to help me. So this is quite nice because they are also nice to me, and they're very helpful. But sometimes we don't understand each other in the way we could. So I would love to have someone who I could cooperate with, that I would just draw the mold, the project, and someone would just do it in the way it should be done with my idea. Because if you work people and they are at the beginning very curious of what you are doing, they don't really want to get paid, but they want to be involved in this. So I really like invite them, but then it's turning out that we don't really have the same point of view on this, how it should look like. So yeah, I think it needs to be more structurized to make it scalable. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
it's not it's not a project like it's not it isn't a project itself for people anymore. I mean, it is a project for people where we could do workshops, etc. But it also should be structurized to to make it scalable. Yeah.
Right. That would be very interesting, to know how this can be made scalable, So if you have this is just a side note, but if you have this drafted in terms of, numbers, that would be very interesting to look at, how you see it's being scalable with some, like projections, numbers, return on investment, etc. So just as a side note, if you have this or if you can work on this and send it over, I would really appreciate it. And maybe, somebody who is going to listen to this talk after this, or somebody I meet, can have to take this project forward. So
Yes.
it would be good to have.
The beautiful perspective is that these materials have no borders. I mean, we can do multiple things with this material. It can be small, it can be big ones. Like, I would love to make big pots for the city towns, because every time I go, I touch these pots and they are so hot. And I imagine, like, I'm thinking about these plants, how bad they must feel with this hot pot in the
Yes.
city. And this
Yeah.
material, because of hemp, has this beautiful properties of thermal regulation. So it will never be that hot, or it never be that cold. I even put flowers last autumn, and they survived, and they are
That's
glowing this spring. So I'm like, okay. And
that's nice.
also, I know who joined us. Marta joined us, and she also has these flower pots, and she's fascinated about how they grow. She's an architect, and
Wow.
she's at work. I think that's why she's unmute. She's
Okay,
here.
so Marta, anyhow, it's good to have you, and we are happy that you are listening to this conversation. Um, whenever I would be interested in your take on it, because you are not the one making it, so it would be interesting, to hear, or a message, whatever option you have to share with us, how these flower pots are working out for you. Yeah, I find that because you mentioned Marta is an architect, I find that architects are the most interested in materials, and designers are the most interested in the material, hemp as a material, as something to create from. And they really see the potential that it can bring. So where do you see yourself, just a final question, where do you see yourself in like 5, 10 years, 10 years, let's say?
I would like to build healthy houses
Right.
and support people to get one, because I just can't stand the fact that there are many people who don't have houses, or they pay so much money for the houses that are built with the plastic or with very weak materials. And this is so I can't look past over it, and I want to change it. So
That's so nice. It's such a nice mission to be on. So I wish you that, I wish that the flower pot business can grow, and also that you can start building more and more houses for people, with people, together with people. And they live in healthier conditions and healthier circumstances. And also, I would like to say thank you for joining this conversation, saying yes to it. I know that we are going to continue to collaborate, because we discussed a couple of ideas just before this call. But yeah, I appreciate you being here. Marta, you as well. Thank you for being here, and enjoy working. And we are going to continue. So I'm planning to do one call every week. And my last question to you is, if there is somebody you would like to recommend me to get in touch with, who would be interesting to introduce.
yes, certainly I would recommend Sergey Kovalenkov. I don't know if you found him
Yes,
on LinkedIn already. I
yeah, we
just
know
in
Sergey.
love with what he is doing,
Yes,
and so much
true.
passion.
True. Definitely.
And
I reached out to him and I'm waiting for him to schedule me in because he's a very busy person. But yes, thank you.
how maybe I can look around, but to be honest, there's still not a lot of people who are doing it. I mean, there are companies, but I don't know who is behind these companies. Like, I just see the name of the company, but I just seen people from like marketing or something, not really people who are behind and that came up with the idea. So maybe we should do some research.
There's some research there. True. Thank you so much, anyhow, for the recommendation, for your time.